Hello, everybody. It is Jonathan Keller from California Family Council. Hope you're all doing well and having a great week. End of September. It is really hard to believe that already we are going to be in October this coming Friday. And I'm back here in our nation's capital, as you can see behind me, the beautiful Capitol Dome. It's been restored, and it is open also, finally, after months and months of the Capitol being locked down and people being unable to visit the Capitol, even to be able to walk on the lawn. People are open. The building is open. You can come, you can walk through. I did just have a meeting with my congressman, Devin Nunes. Many of you remember him from his work on the House Intelligence Committee the last few years. Met with his office just across the way at the Longworth office building. And lots going on in our nation's capital this week. I've been here for meetings the last few days with a great organization called AIPAC. They are a pro-Israel organization. And even though that is not one of the primary issues that CFC focuses on, God's design for life, family, and liberty, we are individually a very pro-Israel organization. We believe that the state of Israel has a right to exist, they have a right to defend themselves, and that the U.S. should maintain a strong and robust relationship with them as an organization. So I am happy to be here as your voice here in Washington, D.C. My coworker Greg Burt is back in back in Sacramento. I live in Fresno. Lots going on this last couple of weeks, not only on the Israel front. We saw a big vote last week on the subject of Iron Dome, the fact that you had the United States helping to resupply Israel with very vitally needed security assistance after some attacks from Hamas earlier this year. But you saw a really interesting situation. Some of you might have followed that, but the squad, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, they made a big, huge push, and they removed this supplemental funding for Iron Dome, the missile defense system, from one of the House appropriation bills. So fortunately, there was a supplemental bill, a directed bill to deal with that last week, and it passed overwhelmingly with only 9 representatives voting no. Those were the members of the squad, and there was one errant Republican, Thomas Massey, from the state of Kentucky. But that was a good sign that the Israel-U.S. relationship remains strong, and that we are helping to allow them to continue to defend themselves against violent terrorist attacks from Hamas and other groups like that. So I wanted to tell you also a little bit about some of the other things that are going to be happening here in D.C. I'm actually going to be coming back next week for another meeting with our friends from Family Research Council. As you know, California Family Council is the state partner for Focus on the Family, Alliance Defending Freedom, and Family Research Council. And we are really excited to be able to work with them and to provide information and resources and support to all of you on a whole host of federal topics. So next week we'll be back here. We'll be having some meetings with people here on Capitol Hill, different agency leaders from around the Capitol area. And we're going to keep talking to you about ways that we can fight back against the Biden administration's radical agenda. And specifically, one of those most radical areas is the abortion agenda. We saw a couple of months ago that the state of Texas actually passed a bill that dealt with protecting unborn life as soon as a heartbeat could be detected. That bill has created a lot of controversy there in the state of Texas, but it's also created some great opportunities for pro-lifers to engage and to step forth in prayer. Right now we're in the middle of our nation's 40 Days for Life campaign. There are hundreds of sites across the country where faithful men and women are going and kneeling in front of abortion clinics. They are faithfully praying and offering support and help to women and girls who are facing an unplanned pregnancy and not sure what they should do. Sadly, in the state of California, bringing it back closer to home, we have several bills, including a bill called SB 742, which is a vaccination bill. It would essentially bar any sort of protesting outside of vaccination sites. Now, the reason I keep using air quotes is that this bill, even though ostensibly it would supposedly prevent there from being violent protests, I agree with that. I don't think any protest should ever turn violent. The way that this is being targeted is trying to set it up that Planned Parenthood would now be protected from any sort of protests or any sort of even prayer vigils outside of their abortion facilities. We saw a report just come out today in the Fresno Bee. It sounds like Gavin Newsom is going to try to sign this bill, and essentially it would put a buffer zone around any site that offers vaccinations. Well, Planned Parenthood just released a report today to the Sacramento Bee that said they are going to step up their efforts to offer vaccinations. So essentially, this is going to be under the guise of COVID prevention, under the guise of vaccination safety and security. This would prevent any pro-life individual from hosting a 40 Days for Life campaign, from praying, from getting involved and active outside of a local Planned Parenthood abortion facility. It's incredibly dangerous that they're even considering this, and it is an absolute violation of religious freedom and freedom of speech. So we're going to continue to monitor that, and we'll keep you posted on how that all pans out. The other thing, I'm going to actually go in a moment and record one separate video, but in just about 2 months, December 1st, the Supreme Court of the United States, right over here, we'll have another video on that in a minute, the Supreme Court of the United States is going to hear oral arguments in the Dobbs case. This is a vitally important case that deals with the issue of abortion, a separate ban, a 15-week abortion ban, out of the state of Mississippi, and whether or not that state is going to be legally allowed to preserve that ban within the state of Mississippi. This is going to be the biggest attack, the biggest frontal assault on the precedent of Roe v. Wade since the Planned Parenthood v. Casey decision in 1991, 1992. This is going to be so important that every single Christian, every single pro-life person pray for the justices and for the court as a whole as they hear this case. Pray for the Attorney General of Mississippi. Pray for all of the people, the attorneys who are going to be helping them argue this case, who are going to be working on this. I'm planning to be back here to be on the steps of the Supreme Court for the rally that day. But folks, this is something that could even affect things in California. I know California is very, very liberal. We're very, very pro-abortion. But the idea that we would be able to finally have a state restriction on abortion that would be able to be upheld, it actually gives us hope within the state of California that anything might be able to be passed within the state of California. And it also means that there are going to be literally thousands of children that will be saved across the country as a result of this. Already we are seeing hundreds of babies being saved within the state of Texas, and if this passes, it would be a trigger effect and lots and lots and lots of pro-life laws around the country that have already been enacted, but we've been waiting for them to go into effect because of Roe v. Wade. So many of those would be allowed to go into effect. It would be a huge domino effect. Now, don't get me wrong, we're still going to have our work cut out for us, whatever that is, and that's why I want to give you one final appeal. Right now, this is the end of California Family Council's fiscal year. September 30th is the end of our fiscal year. We are closing in on that final window, and we would greatly appreciate it if you would consider making a tax-deductible gift to the work of California Family Council. Everything that I'm doing back here, meeting with legislators, rallying grassroots support, trying to help educate people, the things that I do, my coworker Greg, and the rest of our staff, what we do, we offer for free because it's an educational effort, but we also need help. We need your help. We need your investment to make these things a reality. We actually have some big expansion plans for next year. We want to hire a few more staff members, bring them on, and continue the growth of the organization so that we are as able to be active and proactive, not just reacting to things, but actually proactively going out and continuing to report on legislation at the Capitol, continuing to sound the alarm about bad bills like SB 742 and dozens of other bills that are going to make its way through. And with Gavin Newsom in office for the remainder of next year now as well, after the failure of the recall, it's going to be that much more important that we are there as watchdogs, keeping an eye on everything that is happening, not only inside this building behind me, but also inside the Capitol building in Sacramento. So I want to thank you so much for your time. Thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate you just watching. I would ask respectfully if you could do 3 things for me. Number 1, like and comment on this video. Share it with your friends is number 2. And number 3, if you would prayerfully make a donation of any size. Like, share, and donate. Those would be huge ways to help get the message out and to help continue building California Family Council's reach around the state of California so that we can continue to be your voice for life, family, and liberty in the church, the capital, and the culture. God bless. Look forward to talking to you soon.